Attraction is rarely loud. It doesn't always announce itself with dramatic gestures or bold confessions. More often, it shows up quietly, consistently, and in ways that feel almost easy to miss if you're only looking for obvious signs. When a man is secretly attracted to you, he's not just reacting to you in the moment, he's responding to the idea of you, the presence of you, and the possibility of what being closer to you could mean, and that changes everything about how he shows up. One of the clearest signs is that his attention becomes intentional. He's not just present when it's convenient or when circumstances force interaction. He chooses moments to engage with you. He checks in, follows up, and notices when you're not around. This isn't about constant messaging or overwhelming pursuit. It's about consistency. You feel seen, not chased. You sense that when he gives you attention, it's focused, calm, and genuine, as if you have his full mental space, not just a spare minute. Another powerful indicator is that he looks for reasons to stay connected beyond necessity. Conversations don't end abruptly. He finds natural ways to continue them, whether through humor, shared interests, or thoughtful questions. Even when there's no obvious reason to talk, he creates one. This isn't manipulation or strategy, it's curiosity. He wants to understand you more, and that curiosity keeps pulling him back into your world. Pay close attention to his body language, because attraction often speaks through the body before it ever reaches words. When he's around you, he leans in, both physically and emotionally. His posture opens, his expressions soften. He turns toward you even when others are speaking. These small, almost unconscious movements reveal comfort and interest. His body is telling you that being close to you feels natural and grounding. You may also notice that he begins to mirror your energy and pace. If you're calm, he slows down. If you're playful, he meets you there. This mirroring isn't imitation, it's alignment. He's tuning himself to your rhythm because he wants emotional harmony with you. When someone is attracted, they don't just want your attention, they want to feel in sync with you. Another subtle but meaningful sign is that he remembers small details, not the obvious ones, but the things you mentioned in passing. A preference, a story, a frustration, a dream. When he brings these details back into conversation later, it shows that you stayed with him after the moment passed. You mattered enough to be stored, not forgotten. Perhaps one of the most underrated signs is emotional safety. A man who is secretly attracted to you doesn't rush, pressure, or confuse you. He makes space for you to be yourself. You feel relaxed around him, not on edge. Attraction that's real doesn't create anxiety, it creates steadiness. You'll also see that he invests quietly but clearly. Time, effort, and consistency show up without fanfare. He follows through. He shows up when he says he will. These investments aren't flashy, but they're meaningful because they cost him something. And finally, his actions begin to align with long-term interest. He speaks in ways that include you in future-oriented thoughts, even subtly. He respects boundaries. He values depth over novelty. This is attraction rooted in intention, not impulse. When you learn to recognize these signs, you stop chasing clarity and start trusting patterns. Because real attraction doesn't confuse you. It reveals itself gently, steadily, and honestly if you know where to look. When a man's attention becomes intentional, it marks the shift from passive interest to active emotional awareness. And this is one of the clearest signs he's secretly attracted to you. Intentional attention isn't loud or performative, it's deliberate. He doesn't just respond when you initiate or when circumstances force interaction. He chooses to engage. He notices when you enter a room, when your mood changes, when your energy is different. His attention feels grounded rather than scattered, as though when he's with you, he's actually there. This kind of focus is powerful because it reveals priority. In a world full of distractions, attention is a currency, and he's spending it on you consciously. You'll notice that he listens not just to reply, but to understand. He remembers the context of your conversations and brings them forward naturally, showing that your words didn't disappear once the moment passed. His questions feel thoughtful rather than surface level, signaling curiosity about who you are, not just what you look like or how you make him feel in the moment. Intentional attention also shows up in timing. He reaches out when there's no obvious gain, not because he's bored, lonely, or seeking validation, but because connecting with you feels meaningful. Even brief interactions feel purposeful rather than rushed, as if he wants quality over quantity. You may feel that when he gives you attention, it's not mixed with mixed signals or inconsistency. He doesn't pull you close one day and disappear the next. There's a steadiness to how he engages, which creates emotional clarity without him ever having to say how he feels. Importantly, intentional attention respects boundaries. He doesn't demand access to you or invade your space. Instead, he's present, responsive, and emotionally aware. He notices your comfort level and adjusts accordingly, which shows emotional intelligence tied directly to attraction. This is where intention separates attraction from mere interest. Anyone can be curious for a moment, but intention requires effort, awareness, and choice. When a man is secretly attracted, his attention doesn't feel accidental or random. It feels chosen. You sense that he could be anywhere else, doing anything else, but he's here, engaged, and mentally invested. That feeling of being genuinely seen is not something you imagine. It's something you experience through his consistency, focus, and care in how he shows up around you. When a man is secretly attracted to you, he naturally looks for reasons to stay connected beyond what is necessary. And this reveals itself in subtle, almost effortless ways. Connection becomes something he sustains rather than something that just happens. Conversations don't end simply because the topic has run out or because the practical reason for talking is over. Instead, he finds small bridges to keep the interaction alive. He might bring up a shared memory, ask a follow-up question, or introduce a light observation that extends the moment. This isn't forced or rehearsed, it feels organic, as though he enjoys the space that exists between you and wants to linger there a little longer. You may notice that he reaches out without a clear agenda. There's no urgent problem to solve or favor to ask. He messages to share a thought, a joke, or something that reminded him of you. These moments matter because they show that you're part of his mental landscape, even when you're not physically present. That kind of connection doesn't come from obligation, it comes from desire. He wants to keep the thread between you unbroken. Another sign appears in how he reacts when the interaction could easily end. Instead of letting silence take over, he re-engages gently. He might circle back later in the day, reference something you said earlier, or check in just to see how you are. This behavior reflects emotional curiosity. He's interested not just in talking, but in maintaining continuity with you. He wants to build a rhythm, a sense of familiarity that grows over time. Even in group settings, you may notice that he creates moments of one-on-one connection, brief comments, shared glances, or private jokes that reinforce a bond between the two of you. These are quiet ways of saying, you and I have something separate here. Importantly, this desire to stay connected doesn't feel intrusive or overwhelming. He respects your space and timing. If you're busy, he doesn't push. If you take time to respond, he doesn't react with insecurity. That restraint actually strengthens the meaning of his efforts because they're grounded in respect. He's not trying to trap your attention. He's inviting connection. Over time, these small attempts to stay connected create emotional familiarity. You begin to feel that talking to him is easy, natural, and expected in a comforting way. This is how attraction deepens without declaration. He's not rushing to define anything, but he's laying the groundwork through consistent engagement. When someone is secretly attracted, they don't disappear when there's no reason to stay. They quietly create one again and again. When a man is secretly attracted to you, his body often reveals what his words are still holding back. Body language is instinctive, and when attraction is present, it shows up in ways that are difficult to consciously control. One of the clearest signs is how he positions himself around you. He naturally leans in when you speak, even if the room is quiet or there's no practical reason to move closer. This leaning isn't aggressive or intrusive. It's subtle and relaxed, as if being nearer to you feels comfortable and grounding. His shoulders and torso tend to face you directly, signaling openness and focus. Even in group settings, his body often orients toward you, suggesting that emotionally, you are his point of attention. Eye contact also changes when attraction is involved. He holds your gaze a little longer than necessary, not in a way that feels intense or uncomfortable, but in a way that feels present. There's warmth in it, a softness that communicates interest and care. You may notice brief moments where he looks away, and then looks back again, as if checking whether the connection is mutual. These micro moments reveal vulnerability because sustained eye contact requires emotional courage. Another important detail is how his expressions respond to you. He smiles more easily when you speak, even at things that aren't particularly funny. His face relaxes around you. This relaxation is a sign of emotional safety, which is deeply tied to attraction. When someone feels drawn to you, their body drops its guard. Small physical gestures also matter. He might unconsciously mirror your movements, crossing his arms when you do, leaning back when you lean back, or matching your pace when you walk together. This mirroring creates a sense of alignment and emotional synchrony, showing that he's attuned to you. Touch, when it happens, is careful and respectful. It might be a brief brush of the hand, a light touch on the arm, or a gentle guide through a crowded space. These touches are fleeting, almost hesitant, as if he's testing whether closeness feels welcome. Even his voice may shift when he's around you. It often becomes slightly calmer, softer, or more intentional, reflecting his desire to create a comfortable emotional environment. What makes all of this powerful is that it happens without conscious effort. He's not performing attraction. He's expressing it through his body, because that's where honesty lives. You don't have to analyze every movement to feel it. You simply sense that when he's with you, his presence leans toward connection, closeness, and emotional availability. When a man is secretly attracted to you, he often begins to mirror your energy, values, and pace in a way that feels natural rather than deliberate. This mirroring isn't about pretending to be someone else or copying you to impress you. It's an unconscious response that happens when someone wants emotional alignment. If you speak calmly, he softens his tone. If you're playful and light, he meets that playfulness with ease. When you slow down emotionally, he doesn't rush you, he adjusts. This is one of the clearest signs of attraction because it shows that he's paying close attention, not just to what you say, but to how you feel. He wants to meet you where you are rather than pull you into his world. You may notice that he starts to adopt your conversational rhythm. If you enjoy deeper, reflective conversations, he leans into that space with curiosity. If you're more spontaneous and humorous, he relaxes and allows that energy to guide the interaction. This adaptability signals emotional intelligence and genuine interest. Attraction makes him want harmony, not dominance. Beyond energy, mirroring often extends to values and perspectives. He listens carefully when you talk about what matters to you and begins to echo those values in his own expressions. This doesn't mean he abandons his identity. Rather, he highlights the places where you naturally align. He may reference something you believe in and express agreement not to flatter you, but because he's recognizing shared ground. That recognition strengthens emotional connection. You may also feel that he respects your pace when it comes to closeness. If you take time to open up, he doesn't pressure you to move faster. If you're enthusiastic and expressive, he doesn't hold back unnecessarily. He follows your lead because he wants you to feel comfortable and understood. This pacing is subtle but powerful. It creates a sense of emotional safety, which is essential for attraction to grow. Even in moments of disagreement, his mirroring shows up as empathy. He tries to see things from your perspective before asserting his own. He adjusts his language to communicate in a way you'll receive rather than defend against. All of this signals that your emotional experience, CE, matters to him. When someone is merely interested, they focus on being liked. When someone is attracted, they focus on connection. Mirroring is the bridge between two emotional worlds, and when he mirrors you, he's quietly saying that being in sync with you feels important to him. When a man is secretly attracted to you, he remembers the small details that most people overlook, and this is one of the most emotionally revealing signs of genuine interest. These details aren't the obvious facts you share intentionally. They're the passing comments, preferences, and stories you mention without emphasis. He recalls how you like your coffee, a song you said makes you nostalgic, or a challenge you casually mentioned weeks ago. What makes this meaningful is not just the memory itself, but the attention it required in the first place. Remembering small details means he was fully present when you spoke. and that your words mattered enough to stay with him after the moment ended. This kind of memory comes from emotional investment, not effort alone. You may notice him bringing these details back into conversation naturally, without making a show of it. He might ask how something turned out or reference a preference as if it's obvious he would remember. These moments can catch you off guard because they reveal that he's been thinking about you when you weren't there. Attraction extends beyond physical presence. It lives in mental space. When someone is drawn to you, you occupy that space effortlessly. Remembering details also signals care. He doesn't just want to impress you, he wants to understand you. By holding on to the small things, he's building a more complete picture of who you are. This deepens emotional connection because you feel seen as an individual, not as a role or an idea. You're not interchangeable, you're specific. Another important aspect is that he remembers emotional details, not just factual ones. He recalls how you felt in a situation, what excited you, or what frustrated you. This shows empathy, which is closely tied to attraction. He's not just tracking information, he's tuning into your emotional world. Over time, this creates a sense of safety and familiarity. You may find yourself opening up more because you trust that he listens and remembers. Even when he doesn't bring these details up directly, you can feel their impact in how he treats you. He avoids things you dislike, supports what matters to you, and adapts his behavior in subtle ways. These adjustments aren't calculated, they're instinctive responses to caring. When a man remembers the small details, he's showing that you're not just part of his present moment, you're part of his inner world. When a man is secretly attracted to you, one of the most powerful signs is that he creates emotional safety rather than pressure. Being around him doesn't make you feel rushed, confused, or on edge. Instead, there's a sense of ease, as if you're allowed to be exactly who you are without having to perform or impress. He doesn't push for constant reassurance, immediate responses, or fast emotional progression. Attraction for him isn't about control or urgency, it's about connection. This shows up in how he communicates. He listens without interrupting or trying to fix everything. When you express a thought or feeling, he takes it seriously, even if it's vulnerable or uncertain. That response builds trust, which is essential for emotional closeness. Emotional safety also appears in how he handles your boundaries. If you say no, need space, or move at a slower pace, he respects it without resentment. He doesn't withdraw to punish you or escalate to regain control. This restraint is meaningful because it shows confidence and genuine interest. He wants you to feel comfortably choosing him, not pressured into it. You may notice that he's consistent in his tone and behavior. There are no dramatic highs followed by cold silences. His steadiness creates a calm emotional environment where you don't have to guess where you stand in every interaction. This doesn't mean he's emotionally distant. It means he's emotionally reliable. He allows space for honest conversation, even when topics are uncomfortable or unclear. Instead of avoiding vulnerability, he makes it easier for it to exist. Another sign of emotional safety is how he responds when you're not at your best. He doesn't lose interest when you're tired, stressed, or imperfect. He remains present and kind, signaling that his attraction isn't conditional on you being flawless or entertaining. This acceptance deepens connection because it removes the fear of being judged or discarded. Over time, you may find yourself sharing more of your inner world without consciously deciding to. That openness is a response to safety. When someone creates emotional safety, they're saying without words that your feelings matter and your pace is respected. Attraction rooted in safety grows deeper and stronger because it allows both people to show up authentically without fear or pressure to become something they're not. When a man is secretly attracted to you, he begins to invest in quiet but consistent ways that reveal how much you matter to him. This investment isn't flashy or dramatic, and it doesn't come with grand declarations or exaggerated gestures. Instead, it shows up through time, effort, and reliability. He makes room for you in his schedule, even when life is busy. He follows through on what he says, whether it's calling when he promised or showing up when it would have been easier not to. These small acts of consistency are powerful because they require discipline and intention. Anyone can express interest when it's convenient, but investment shows who someone is when it costs them something. You may notice that he puts thought into interactions with you. He chooses places, plans, or moments that reflect what you enjoy, rather than defaulting to what's easiest for him. He adapts, adjusts, and considers your needs without being asked. This effort isn't transactional. He's not keeping score or expecting immediate returns. He invests because being connected to you feels valuable. Over time, this creates a sense of trust because his actions align with his presence. He doesn't disappear after meaningful moments or become inconsistent once comfort is established. Instead, his behavior remains steady, signaling that his interest isn't temporary or impulsive. Another aspect of investment is emotional availability. He makes space for real conversations, not just surface-level exchanges. He's willing to engage when topics require thought, patience, or vulnerability. That willingness reflects courage, because emotional investment always involves risk. When someone is attracted, they accept that risk rather than avoiding it. You may also notice that he supports you in subtle ways. He encourages your goals, listens to your concerns, and celebrates your wins without competition or insecurity. His support feels genuine because it doesn't center himself, it centers you, even when he's not physically present. You can feel his consistency through check-ins or thoughtful gestures that remind you you're not forgotten. This kind of investment builds emotional momentum. It creates a foundation where attraction can grow into something meaningful. When a man invests consistently, he's showing that his feelings aren't fleeting. They're rooted in intention, care, and a desire to build something that lasts. When a man is secretly attracted to you, his actions begin to align with long-term interest rather than short-term excitement. And this alignment is often more telling than anything he says. He doesn't just focus on the immediate moment or fleeting chemistry. He considers how his behavior today affects tomorrow. You may notice that he's thoughtful about his choices around you. He avoids actions that could create confusion, disrespect, or emotional instability. This restraint reflects foresight, which is a strong indicator of genuine attraction. He's not trying to impress you quickly or win you over through intensity. Instead, he's building trust through consistency. Another sign appears in how he talks about the future, even subtly. He might reference events, plans, or ideas that include you without making a big deal out of it. These mentions aren't promises or pressure. They're glimpses into how he's already imagining you as part of his ongoing life. This shows that he's not compartmentalizing you as a temporary experience. He's allowing the possibility of something lasting to take shape in his mind. Long-term alignment also shows up in respect. He respects your time, your boundaries, and your individuality. He doesn't rush intimacy or demand emotional access before it feels natural. This patience is important because it reveals that he values depth over immediacy. He's willing to let attraction grow at a pace that supports stability rather than urgency. You may also see that he prioritizes clarity over mixed signals. Even if he hasn't openly expressed his feelings, his behavior reduces uncertainty rather than increasing it. He doesn't play hot and cold or create emotional drama to maintain interest. Instead, he shows up in ways that feel grounded and predictable, which is essential for long-term connection. Another aspect of alignment is accountability. He takes responsibility when he makes a mistake and is willing to communicate rather than disappear. This maturity is often driven by attraction because he cares about how his actions impact you. Over time, these patterns create a sense of emotional security. You feel that his presence adds stability rather than chaos to your life. When attraction is rooted in long-term intention, it does